Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome to the Wobble and Joy Sports channel. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. It was a really wonderful event. I would say that Lara Pitt would get my best dressed for the DallyMs of 2023. The NRLW Team of the Year, the DallyM winner, was perfect, in my opinion, and it was all running so smoothly until the very end, until the very last moment. Oh, wow. So, before I go on any further, I want to congratulate Kalyn Ponga. I do not dislike the bloke. I just did not think that the year that Ponga wins the DallyM would be this year. His 2023 campaign has been really good. I don't think it's been as good as Shaun Johnson. I'm so sorry. It's not Kalyn Ponga's fault, first and foremost. Ponga's done some exceptional things this season. Better things than Shaun Johnson in some games, in some instances. But I've just really quickly looked at a few things. And there are a couple of items that I need to get off my chest and put forward to all of you. First of all, the argument that Kalyn Ponga only played half the season is incorrect. In a 27-round regular season, and where teams played 24 matches throughout 2023, Kalyn Ponga played 18 of 24 available regular season games. He was out from round 3 till round 8, thereabouts, right? He missed 6 weeks, and that's it. So the question of how did Kalyn Ponga win the DallyM medal because he played only half a season, that's not technically correct. The question I pose to everybody is, while he went on that 9-game winning streak alongside the rest of the Newcastle Knights, my question is, did Kalyn Ponga's first half of 2023 really warrant him to be in the mix towards the back end of the campaign? My answer to that is no. It's no. Here's the screenshot of the first half of his season. In round 1, he would have been just about average against the Warriors. He then played 2 minutes against the Tigers in round number 2. He then went on a 6-week spell, returned against the North Queensland Cowboys. He would have been average in that game. He would have been okay in that return game. He then got pumped the week after by the Parramatta Eels and missed 8 tackles. In round 11, he and the rest of the team put out their frustrations for the Bali moment and for putting in such a poor performance that they flogged the Gold Coast Titans. In that 10-week stretch, or that 10-game stretch he had in the first half of the year, he only won 3 games. And there was the game against the Sydney Roosters, where they were full strength Newcastle. The Sydney Roosters were depleted, and the Roosters won up in the Hunter Valley. The same thing can be said about the Penrith Panthers versus the Newcastle Knights the week after, where Christian Welch now infamously said, which ultimately fired up Newcastle Knights to the point where they won 9 in a row. How do they not beat Penrith? So Kalyn Ponga didn't play well in either of those two games. There was a game against the Broncos, one of the matches of the season, where he was really good. Really good. That's a game that I can point to and say, yep, he absolutely deserved and earned some DallyM points in that game as well. There's a match against the Cronulla Sharks where they lost 26-6. I'm looking at the first half of his season, the first 10 games of his year. He won 3, and I can honestly point to 2 of those games and say he deserved and warranted DallyM points. I look at Shaun Johnson now, and he strapped the rocket to his back from the very first round of the season and played at this level throughout the entire year. He missed 2 or so games throughout the year, maybe just the 1 in the final round of the season, and it still wasn't enough for him to win the DallyM Medal Award. Oh, there are people out there that I've seen post, but get around the story about Kalyn Ponga, and I really do. It is genuinely a fantastic story about resilience from Kalyn Ponga. His career was that close. It was that close to being over, but he fought his way back. He would have been, excuse me French, shitting bricks before he returned against the Cowboys. And it took him a little while to get his feet back. But once he did, you saw what he did and what the Newcastle Knights did for the rest of the year. But just because it's a great story doesn't mean that I can overlook the fact that I don't think Kalyn Ponga had an overall better year than Shaun Johnson. Because here's the other side of that story coin. Look at Shaun Johnson's story. Look at the whole New Zealand Warriors tale for 2023. Or just through the COVID years, Shaun Johnson returned to the club that he loved, that he first played for. But then COVID struck. His form dipped. The entire club experienced arguably the worst years of their existence. And then they get the Penrith Panthers assistant coach, and Shaun Johnson has a new lease on life. He hit the ground running in round number 1 and has gotten better and better and better. And there's a moment in this DallyM awards ceremony where in round number 25, or was it round 24, the game against Manly, Shaun Johnson did not poll any DallyM votes in the victory against the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles at Mount Smart Stadium. Shaun Johnson scored that field goal to make the scoreline 29-22. Shaun Johnson had a couple of line break assists, had a try assist, and kicked the ball for 348 meters and ran the ball 10 times as well. And he didn't get any point. Didn't get a point for his effort against Manly. And he didn't pull very many points off the back of the head for the rest of the night as well, really. The Warriors won their last 6 in a row before the final round of the season. And Shaun Johnson didn't really tally up the votes. The only other thing that I can think of is that the likes of an Aiden Fanua-Blake, DWZ, a CNK, a Wade Egan even, were pinching these points incrementally from Shaun Johnson to the point where he just needed 2 more points and he would have won the DallyM medal. But I don't think that should have been the case in the first place, because while Kalyn Ponga's 9-week stretch was exceptional, I don't think that his first half of the year warranted him to the point of being so deep into the mix with the rest of the second half of the season remaining. And guess what's happened? He's pipped Shaun Johnson in the end. I think Shaun Johnson has been absolutely dudded here. Was I in camp Shaun Johnson? Yes, of course I am. I think 3/4 of the planet were in camp Shaun Johnson. Yeah, I am. Look, Shaun Johnson, he's probably already forgotten about it. I hope so anyway. He's a professional athlete. He knows how to take losses better than me, than you, than 3/4 of the rest of the planet. So I'm sure he's already chilling out with his wife, having some champagne and FaceTime with his family and whatever. He's probably like, all right then, but we move on, we move forward. As I said before, Kalyn Ponga's 9-week stretch, he did some exceptional things. Better at stages. He had moments that were better than Shaun Johnson. Moments. He had games. I don't think Kalyn Ponga had a better year than Shaun Johnson. I really don't. And I think the entire top 10 needs to be questioned. I think the entire, this new 6-point voting system needs to be questioned as well, because there were a couple of players inside that top 10 that shouldn't have been as high as what they were, in my opinion. But the entire night was a success. I hope they continue the format like they did last year and this year. As a presentation, it was a success. But the final 10 minutes, it just unraveled everything, really. That's all we're going to be talking about. How and why. And I don't know why. I don't know how Shaun Johnson didn't win that DallyM. But congratulations to Kalyn Ponga. Congratulations to him. It's hard to say he doesn't deserve it when he was just untouchable. He was invincible for 9 weeks. And again, credit to him, big time, for coming back from where he came from earlier this season. It is a magnificent story, but so was Shaun Johnson's. And I think some of the voters in the DallyM parties or pools or whatever, I think they got a bit lost in Kalyn Ponga's story just quietly. So, oh, what a bugger. And again, the only other thing that I can think of is that Aiden Fanua-Blake and Egan, C&K, DWZ just stole those 1 or 2 points that Shaun Johnson needed, but I don't think it should have even come to that stage. Thank you very much for listening to me. All the best to Kalyn Ponga throughout the off-season and into next year, of course. Of course. I just did not think this would be the way Ponga would win his first DallyM medal, but here we are. Thank you very much. Take care. Adios.